Hi guys, and welcome along to this next video that we are doing today. And this video is about all of the foot controls and hand controls of the car. Just a nice quick overview. Following on from the cockpit drill and before we get the car moving. Again, just quickly before we get started, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Hit the bell button as well so you get notifications if you're already subscribed. As to when my next videos come out. This one will be a nice quick one today, so we're going to cover all the controls along that you use on the feet and the controls you use in the hands, just the basic ones. We could be here for hours going through cruise control and air conditioning and climate, all these other things that you don't need to know how to use to get the car moving and may not be relevant to a car that you have once you pass your test. We'll keep it basic and we will start with the pedals and what we have to use and what they're all used for and what they're called. Okay, so we'll start with the foot controls and the pedals. Keep it nice and simple. There's 3 pedals. In a manual car. In a automatic car, you just got the 2. So from right to left, it's ABC. So they're like the wrong way round, but ABC. So you've got accelerator on the right there, brake in the middle, and then your clutch on the left. Okay, so we've got A, B, C. Accelerator, generally your driving instructor will call it gas pedal, kind of to just avoid confusion for me. More gas, less gas, on gas, off gas. Or someone starts shouting gas, gas, gas at you, you think, right, I need to make sure I press that to get going. You can trip over yourself with the word accelerator, and it just can be it can be easy to misunderstand. Say more accelerator or less accelerator, and you just hear the word accelerator or accelerate less. It can get easily misunderstood. So on gas, off gas, less gas, more gas. That's what you need to know for that one. It controls the engine power, so the more you press it, the more the engine revs. It doesn't make you go in a manual car. Sorry, in an automatic car, you press it and the car will go as long as you're in drive. In a manual car, you can press it all you want if you're not in gear. Even if you're in gear, but you've got the clutch down, you press that as much as you want. The car isn't going anywhere. So it's your power. It gives you more power. It'll make the car go faster once it's moving. Brake pedal, nice and easy. It's the brake pedal that slows the car down. Press the brake lights come on, car slows down. You'll notice with both of these, both with the right foot, you don't need to use your left foot for those two. You don't want to be left foot braking. Usually ends up in some really harsh braking and people jerking forward, and it's really not comfortable. So accelerator with the right foot, brake with the right foot. You'll notice my foot is pivoting between the two, it doesn't come off the floor. Keep it nice and planted. So then that way you're only doing one or the other. Brake pedal is slightly higher than the accelerator pedal as well, just to kind of try and avoid pressing both at the same time. And then obviously you've got the clutch pedal all the way down. Clutch is in, so clutch is apart. There's two halves to a clutch, one on the engine, one on the gears. Like that, they're apart, so nothing that the gears were doing, wouldn't matter what gear you're in, nothing's going to happen. So when you pull the clutch out, they're then together. They then turn together, so the gears turn, the gearbox turns, and then that turns the wheels. So really important with your pedals, how you act on the pedals is how the car will react. So if you are stabby, jabby, stabby, stab like that, the car's going to be like this. If you drop and you throw the clutch out like that, the car's going to jerk backwards and forwards like that. You're going to get a really unsmooth ride. So nice and gently on the gas, nice and gently on the brake. Clutch, as we use it, we're going to go down, select the gear. Before we move off, you're going to find the bite point, which is about that far up. So it's about about a third to halfway up, and then you release it out slowly. Again, you'll notice my foot, heel goes onto the floor, pedal rolls out. Nice and smoothly. The biting point is something I just mentioned and you may have already heard of. It's the point at where the two plates of the clutch, two sides of the clutch meet together, and the car starts to turn. The wheels start to turn, the wheels start to move. You can't just let it go and expect the car to move. It's too much, too soon. It'd be, the way I normally describe it would be, for using the clutch, if someone walked up to you and pushed you gently and pushed you out, you'd either walk away or you could push against it. If someone runs up to you and just pushes you really hard, all of a sudden there's like a shock. You're generally going to fall over, and that's what the car is doing when it's stalling. It's falling over because you've shocked it and you've pushed it really hard. So you need to work it, get it moving, and then release the clutch gently. You don't want to go boom and then out. Car will fall over, it will stall, it's the shock of it. Okay, so we'll move on to the hand controls now. So the hand controls are your handbrake, your gear lever, your indicator and your steering wheel, and then finally the ignition key. First things, handbrake works on the rear wheels. Use it when you're stopped or when you're waiting, when you've parked your car up. With the handbrake, when you're taking the handbrake off, lift it slightly, press the button in, you'll find it much easier. Sometimes people are trying to press the button in really hard. You need to lift it just a little bit, and then it'll go in nice and easy and come off all the way down. Keep the button pressed in, on the way up, button in, and all the way up. Some people say, because you might have seen people that use the handbrake like this, just yank it up. It doesn't really matter. You could stretch the handbrake cable a little bit. People will say you can wear out the little ratchet, the clicking noise you can hear there, which holds the handbrake up. But I've never heard of anyone wearing it out. I've never heard anyone say to me before, I've never even seen people say, we've got to have a handbrake replaced because I've worn it out. It's unlikely. It's just a bit nice. I just don't want it. You don't want to hear it all the time. So with the handbrake, you can see on the dashboard here, we've got some lights on. If I remove the handbrake, one of them goes off. And then when I put it back on, the handbrake light comes back on. Now that's there just purely as a warning to say your handbrake's applied. Gear lever. So using the gears, this is the thing that most people are concerned about. So with the gears, the most important thing is not to look. They're in the same place in 99% of the cars. So first gear is it will be left and up, all the way to the left and up. 2 or second gear, keep the pressure pressed over to the left because it will want to pop to the middle. So keep it pressed left and all the way down. Third gear, let it do its thing. So you can do this with one finger. So you're in second, you can push it forward and go to the middle, and then straight forward is third. Fourth gear, back in a straight line, no pressure to the sides. And then fifth, up to neutral, across and forward. And then sixth, if you have it, keep the pressure to the right and down. Now, the reason why people have trouble with gear changes is that they rush them. So just take your time. You've got loads of time. Once the car's moving, it's not going to stop dead in a few seconds. If you take 3 seconds to change gear, or half a second to change gear, or if you take 5 seconds to change gear, the car is not going to stop. So take your time, find the right gear, and on you go. Usually, if it doesn't feel like it's the right gear, it's probably not. So again, take your time, go back to neutral. You should know where all the gears are from neutral. Neutral is in the middle there between 3 and 4, third and fourth gear. So you should know, right, well, I wanted to go into second there, but I feel like I got fourth. So I'm going to come back out into neutral, and I'm going to make sure I push it over first and then go down. Now I'm in the right gear. Okay. Reverse. So reverse gear is used obviously for going backwards and at slow speed. There's a couple of options. Some cars you have to either press really hard over to get to the reverse. This car's got a little button, a little lever to raise. So you raise the lever and it moves it across, so you don't accidentally get reverse instead of first. Sometimes it's down to the right and you just push it over to the right and pull it down. And again, there may be a ring. Sometimes you have to push down on it. Sometimes you just have to push it hard. So it's all there to stop you getting the gear that you don't want. So speeds of gears, some people will say, oh, you need to do this speed in this gear and this speed in this gear, and then change at this speed. I always say, listen to the car. Does it sound like it needs to change gear? If it does, then you should. Okay, so if it's starting to rev a little bit more, then change up to the next gear. The other thing I would say is there will be a gear that your car will sit nicely in at 30 miles an hour and 40 miles an hour and whatever. So in this case, in this car, third gear, you'll sit at 30 miles an hour nicely. And fourth gear, you'll sit nicely at 40 miles an hour. Anything over that, you're in fifth and sixth, and you're at motorway speeds. Once you get above 50 miles an hour anyway, you 50, 60 miles an hour, you're going to be getting towards motorway speeds, so you're going to be in sixth gear. But generally, in this car, and it might be different in your own, it might be different in your instructor's car, the number of the gear is the speed that it would be comfortable doing. So if you added a 0, so 10 for first gear, 20 for second gear, that's where it would sit, because it's kind of in the middle of the speed range that gear uses. Again, this can change from car to car. With gears, you may have seen people doing, you might be going along a road, and then you see somebody you've been in the car with, they'll be slowing down and they'll go from 4th gear up, across and down to 2nd gear. You can do that. You can skip gears on the way down and on the way up if you really want to. On the way up, if you're accelerating smoothly, you shouldn't need to jump gears. It wouldn't be necessary, but on the way down, certainly you can go from 4th gear into 2nd gear, and then, or if you're coming to a complete stop and you haven't changed down any gears at all, you can slow down and stop and go from 4th gear to 1st gear if you want to. But you don't have to go 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. You don't need to do that just to tick a box. There's no point. Just do what feels right. So indicators and steering wheel. Indicators is easy. The way you want to go, so the way you're going to turn the wheel is the way the indicator needs to go. So generally the indicator stalk is here on the left hand side of the steering wheel, and up is right and down is left. And the steering wheel, this hand would move up if you were turning right, and it would move down if you were turning left. Steering wheel, a lot of people will talk about, oh, you mustn't cross your arms and you mustn't do this and you mustn't do that. Ideally, yes, hold the steering wheel 10 to 2, quarter to 3, somewhere around here. This is nice and comfortable, whatever's comfortable. Don't have your arm up here. Don't be leaning down here like this. Just nice and comfortable. Yeah, not here. And then with the steering, try and push pull. So you'd push the steering wheel up and feed it round like that if you can, and feed it back to straight. There's usually enough time, but don't worry if occasionally the steering wheel slides slightly through your hands, and when it's recentering as the car comes back around, don't worry about if you might, oh, I've just done that a little bit. You aren't going to fail straight away. If you lose control, then yes, you're going to have a problem. But with the steering wheel, don't hold it like this, down at the bottom, one hand at the top, just one-handed. Hand on the gear lever is a good one that people do. Don't know what you think's going to happen to it. It's not going to change, not going to jump out. Just going to stay there. So you don't need to hold on to it. Nothing's going to change. And the last thing would be the ignition. So this car is keyless. You've probably seen me pressing the button occasionally down here. So there's a button down here. The key stays in my pocket. And to get the car started, you'd press the clutch down, press the button, the car would come on. If you press it once, the electric comes on. So sat nav kicks in, and you may have just heard there, so my dash cam has just come on. Starts to power up some of the accessories. If I press it again, I can now open the windows. It gives me the things that are higher drain electrics now. Fans started to kick in. So those things are higher drain on the battery, so it gives you, it doesn't turn them on straight away, so you don't run your battery down. And then finally, clutch all the way down, press the button, car comes on. So that's very similar to a key. So I'll just turn that off. It's very similar to the way a key works. One click, you get one lot of like the low power electrics. Second click, you get the higher power electrics. Turn it all the way forward, car will start. You let go of the key, drops back, and the car keeps running. Again, so that just wraps up that one. Nice little quick one there. Again, just a little bit of information, just a basic overview of all of the hand controls that you'd be using, and you'll use all of them on every lesson. I can't see that you wouldn't have any need to not use any of them. Like I said before at the beginning, if you haven't already, please do subscribe down below and hit that bell button. The next video just follows on the series about the basic stuff. It'll be linked at the end, and I'll see you all again soon.